All right, Rory, back for another episode of Don't Know Ball because we absolutely do not know ball.
Still don't.
Maybe a little bit, but
not
this
really.
is why we have this show, so we can bring in some of our friends and that do know ball and they can help us out. Today we are joined by someone who is very knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than you and I both.
Combined, yes.
Combined.
Even with Google.
Right. Even with our smartphones in our hands, she knows more about ball than we do. ESPN host, anchor, women's college basketball, sideline reporter, analyst. I mean, if it's women's basketball, she's there. Welcome, Elle, Duncan. Elle, thank you for joining us.
What's
Big
up,
claps,
y'all?
studio audience.
You can't hear the claps.
By the way, you guys are doing it wrong if you're still Googling. Just pull up ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could end this entire series just with ChatGPT.
Yeah, like we could pull up ChatGPT and tell us things we don't want to know about basketball. But Elle, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm a little bit tired. We had the draft this week and I'm like in my 40s now, so I need like 3 or 4 days to recover from one long night.
Is draft week like hell week for you?
Not really, because I was coming off like it's a quick turnaround. I do college women's basketball, so we were at the Final Four, and then 5 days later we're at the WNBA draft because I also covered the WNBA. So it's just like it's like a really long 2 months, but then I get a bit of a break before the actual season starts.
I saw during the Final Four and everything, or the lead up to the Final Four in women's college basketball, I saw that you had South Carolina winning it all. You said that they had to be dethroned. I didn't know why. I mean, I get it. I understand what Coach Staley's been able to do in South Carolina is amazing, but Coach Oriema, I mean, UConn is just like, how do you go against that? Well,
here's the thing. Okay, Mal, is that I filled out my bracket and then UConn just decided to start playing like UConn in the tournament and I couldn't go back from there. The reason I'm sort of like in the same way with football. It's like you always choose the Chiefs until someone beats them. Now the Eagles beat them, so now we won't just assume that the Chiefs are going to win again. But Dawn literally won a championship after losing 70% of her offense. She lost all of her starters and reloaded and won a championship and went undefeated in the process. So, I gave them the benefit of the doubt, but there was not a single team on this planet, maybe not even the Lakers, that were going to beat that UConn team the way they were playing, period.
How important is it with Coach Staley, the culture that she's building in South Carolina? How important is that program for women's college basketball?
What's funny is that Gino and Dawn have very similar programs in terms of like in this new NIL world where there's so much player empowerment, right? Like they can leave, they can go they come for money, they leave for more money. If you go to UConn in South Carolina, like they're not really paying that much money. It's not that they can't, it's that they're just sort of like, listen, do you want to contend for a national championship? Do you want to be in the W? And if you do, these two programs give you the best opportunity to do both of those things. So it's really interesting because Dawn, I mean, her leading scorers came off the bench. Like it's tough to convince young women who are becoming famous, who are getting, nods from Steph Curry, who are getting a ton of money and brand and marketing deals, that they still need to come off the bench because it's what's best for the program, because it's what's best for the team. But I think talking to her team, the reason that they do that is because specifically with Dawn, because she has literally walked that path, like she is a champion at it, right? Like she was a champion player. She didn't win in college, but she was a national player of the year. Yeah. She then went on to the pros. She then went on and was a Hall of Fame coach. She's won Olympic gold medals. Like, so they really see her as like a TT, like a proud auntie. And she calls herself a dream merchant. But that's because she tries to prepare them for more than just basketball. So they just have such a respect for her. She speaks their language. She meets them where they're at. And I think that's why they buy in. But the culture is why she's so consistently in the conversation, even with a team that did not have a bona fide superstar. Like, this is the first time Dawn tried to win a national championship without a lotto pick. She won her first one with Asia Wilson, Asia Wilson, right? She won her second one with Aaliyah Boston. She won her third one with Camila Cardoso. They didn't have that this year, and they still made the national championship.
Right. Now, over the years, I've been a fan of women's basketball for years. Watching Sue Bird here in New York High School, Shamika Holesclaw, and a few other players. The recent surge of women's players, What is happening though? Because it's a different thing that's happening now with women's. Like they just a couple years ago they had a higher rated national championship game than the men's championship game, which was when I found that out, that was crazy to me.
I mean, it's a way better tournament in general.
Yeah, like it seems like it's more exciting to watch women's college basketball now than ever before. Like, what is the cause of that?
Well, I think part of it is because in the men's side, the really big players, the big names, they're one and done. Like they bounce, right? Cooper Flagg's done. He's out. Zion, like all these big name sort of superstars, they leave. In the women's game, you have to be 22 years old the year of the draft to leave, which means that in most cases, we're getting them for 4 years. Because of COVID, in some cases, like with Paige Beckers, we're getting them for 5 years. So I think you just get to know them more. You root for them more. Like they become household names. NIL has helped. Like they've got incredible brand and marketing deals. They're better on social media. So they're social media stars on top of what they're doing on the court. And then I just think like in general, the game has gotten better. We talked to Gino about this. I asked him this last year. Like, what do you think it is? Because he's, a legacy. He's an OG. And he was like, honestly, I also think there's an appreciation for people meeting the women where they're at. And he used the example of Diana Taurasi. Like he was like, when Dee was coming through UConn, everybody's comp was always right. Like she's like a Kobe. She's like a female Kobe. Of course, that's why she's the white mamba. He was like, now the comps are, she's like an Asia Wilson. She's like a Brianna Stewart, right? And so they appreciate women's game for what it is, as opposed to saying, well, I'd be more interested if they dunked, or I'd be more interested if they did this. I think there's just an appreciation for how they play more. But I really do think it comes down to the fact that you just watch them longer. Like you watch them for years. With Paige Beckers, like you saw her journey. You know how hard it was for her to win that national championship. You were rooting for her. And the men's side, they bounce. I mean, most of these big name superstars, we don't even remember where they went to college because they were only there for a calendar year.
I was talking to somebody a few weeks ago. I said I can't name the top 5 picks of the NBA draft. Like I really can't.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I can't name the top 5 picks. And that's probably the first time in years that I could actually say I cannot name the top 5 picks of the NBA draft.
I'm with you. I mean, I can name Cooper Flagg, but I'm all like, I always joke whenever someone's like, and who's your pick on the men's side? I'm like, men play basketball? I don't know shit. I don't know.
How long do you think before, or do you ever think that they would try that with men's basketball where they would actually, have the players stay and not do one and done? Do you think that will ever happen? Because I mean, this is a business, and if they start to see the ratings and viewership slip more than it already has, I can see them getting to a point where they're like, all right, we have to do something to keep these players at these universities for more than a year.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think, even though existentially, like for me, this big boogeyman of NIL that everybody always bitches and complains about, like, I get it. If you are a program, if you're a coach, it's tough. It is tough. Because like as soon as someone says something you don't like or plays you in a way you don't like, they can bounce. And I understand that there's a lot. They didn't regulate it at all, or they regulated it too much, and then it turned into the wild, wild west. As a fan, I think it's great. Like, I love the fact, like, it's so much drama, right? We've never had like a real off season in college sports. So the idea that, the kid in Tennessee is like, I want more money. And they're like, we'll call your bluff. You can fuck off. Like, I think it's exciting.
Yeah.
I also think NIL helps with some players because they don't want to leave, right? Like they know that if they're going to be a late first round pick, they could probably look at Drew Timme. That dude spent like 25 years in college basketball, but it's because he knew there was a lot more opportunity for him staying in college. So I think that is going to help some of these dudes that, are maybe fringe, like lotto picks, decide to stay another year or take their talent somewhere else and get more money. But I mean, they've tried it, Mal, right? Like I remember, when it was, you could come straight from high school, and then they regulated that because they felt like it was making college irrelevant. And then they went into the one and done, and now we're back to it's making college irrelevant. But ultimately, it's just really hard to tell these players who are coming out. For the most part, the top players are coming out somewhat pro ready. It's hard to tell them, like, to force them to stay in college when they know they can make so much bank in the NBA. So I don't know that there's a regulation that's coming. Adam Silver's talked about that. The NCAA's talked about that. And ultimately, it's really up to the program. If they think they've got it flat on their hands, they got 1 year. It's like, make it or break it. This is it.
Now, I'm not mad at the NIL. I think that, we should be paying these collegiate athletes, especially with all of the money that they bring these universities. I absolutely hate the transfer portal, though. I think that is a problem. Like I don't understand it, and so it's like, why do we have that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why?
What do you dislike about it?
Because I think that it's almost like if I go to university, I commit to a university, and I get there and say I'm not playing well. I don't like the coaches. Somebody that has a scholarship or doesn't have a walk-on outplays me. He has more playing time than me. Now I can just decide that I'm going to transfer. I just don't agree with that. I just think I think that has the potential to kill college.
Not that there was a transfer portal, say when Cam Newton was there, but we could have got a better Cam Newton if he could have left Florida immediately and went to Auburn, rather than like 1.5 years. Like, he could have really had 4 years of greatness instead of just sitting behind Tim Tebow stealing laptops.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just think that it just gives players, I want to say like an out. Like if the first thing that they don't like, the coach does this, says that, doesn't like the offense, I'm out of here, I'm transferring. It's like, I just don't agree with the transfer portal. I think that's like, you should have to sit out a full year, I believe.
Yeah, like how it used to be. I mean, here's what I would say to you about that, because I hear that a lot. And like I said, if you're a coach, I get it. The transfer portal has retired some coaches. They're like, I don't want to deal with it. It's a new breed of player and whatnot. But I would also say that, like, you can apply that to literally anything in life. Like, even go to the pros. Like, their player empowerment now is just saying, I'll sit out. I just won't participate until you give me more money or until you trade me.
That's true, Elle, but some would say that that's ruining the NBA as well, though.
And that's fine. I think it comes down to, I don't want to say it comes down to character as if you have bad character if you choose to do it. Mm-hmm. I was raised that, like, when you start something, you finish it. You don't quit. Period. Mm-hmm. You finish something, and then if you don't want to do it at the end of it again, you don't have to sign back up, but that you don't quit things. And so existentially, I will never be that person. That's just who I am, and that's sort of like my moral base. And I think there are plenty of players who feel the same way, who say, okay, I'm still going to stay with this program because I made a commitment to them and they made a commitment to me. I just think people are motivated by different things. And, frankly, like I said before, this is on the conference. This is on the conferences and the leagues, because they went so long with punishing people for having, a McDonald's meal paid for by a booster could cost you your eligibility. They went so long doing that crap that then Congress had to get involved. And Congress didn't know anything about sports. So they were like, cool, wheels are off, go at it. They completely deregulated everything when the NCAA could have got ahead of this years ago. Yeah. And instead they waited and they waited and they waited and they waited and they put it in somebody else's hands, and now they're upset. But ultimately, like, this is the new reality. I'm with you. I mean, I think it was something like on the first day of eligibility, there was like 1,200 people in the transfer portal. Like, that's bananas. It's bananas. But we also have to stop looking at college as an amateur sport. It's not anymore. True. It's a professional league at this point. Mm-hmm. I think they need to make it that way. They need to have a commissioner. They need to allow these people to have, like, the agents that they have, and treat it as a professional league, because that's essentially where we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In covering women's college basketball, you're there early for shoot around, you're in the locker rooms, et cetera. How bad is the music taste of these young people?
Bro. It's like, I feel like I'm in a constant TikTok video. I'm like, what song
You're in the TikTok video. Yeah.
Constantly. It's just, and then sometimes you'll realize you are in a TikTok video. Like, you'll see them synchronizing and doing the dance. I'm like, wow, we're here. It's not great. I mean, I like every kind of music. Like, music is very much my shit. I had a musical background. I started in hip hop radio in Atlanta. And if I wasn't doing sports, frankly, I would be doing something in the music world, maybe music supervisor or something. I love music. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like some of the music needs to, like, make you feel something, and like the mumble rap and the TikTok songs, I don't.
Some of these artists need to get in the transfer portal. That's what.
Transfer out of music.
Yeah, transfer out of music. Get them out of here.
The music makes you feel something. It makes you feel stupid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fair. I will say the wildest shoot around I was ever at, though, because, like, for the most part, especially in the basketball world, they're listening to a lot of hip hop, and even if it's not particularly my type of hip hop, it's like SoundCloud hip hop. It's still hip hop. Like, it's still, it's still got some thump.
Yeah.
I went to shoot around a couple years ago at Iowa, Caitlin Clark was there, and they were blasting Taylor Swift as Shoot Around. And I was like, this feels very apropos. Like, I've never really seen anybody lean all the way in. UConn sometimes will blast gospel music for Paige, but for the most part, it's all the same consistent thing.
What music did you listen to coming up in Atlanta?
Oh, man. Well, I don't know how Atlanta I can go, but like I was raised on like Kilo and Raheem the Dream. And I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm wearing an Outkast shirt.
That's the right shirt. Yeah.
Always. But my parents like were always had like a really diverse sort of discography too, if you will, and their tastes were varied. So I also grew up on a lot of like my favorite artist still to this day is Sam Cooke. I love Stevie Wonder. So all the classics. But I think what's cool about Atlanta is it's such a melting pot. And I was candidly raised in the suburbs of Atlanta, which, if you don't know, when you drive 30 miles outside of Atlanta, you drive 30 miles back into time. And so I also grew up on a lot of like alternative music and rock music. And, I might have had a little bit of a metal moment for a time being. So I think that's where it came from, is just this melting pot of like, whistle while you twerk. And then we would like hit you with a little Green Day too.
Oh no, we were just talking about Green Day a couple days ago, like,
and OJ the Juice Man.
I love Green Day, huge Green Day fan.
Yo, OJ's ad libs were just so great. I mean, just the best.
Nicest person too. What you were saying? I'm sorry.
So you had a time where we could catch Elle at Hot Topic in the mall, getting like some outfits, some shirts, like heavy metal.
That's where she got the Outkast shirt. Was that Hot Topic?
This is 100% Spencer's Gifts.
For sure.
Absolutely. I had a little moment with like System of a Down and Metallica. Okay. Yeah. Where I just, you're young and you're angry for no reason. I literally lived behind a farm. There was no reason to be angry. So I just had to manufacture anger. So metal music did that for me.
Do you remember like the exact time when Outkast kind of popped and entered into the world? What was that like?
Yeah. I mean, I was actually in middle school, and at the time we had just moved from Atlanta to Florida, brief 3-year stint, very forgettable. But we were living in Jacksonville, and I had heard Elevators, and I was like, "What's this?" And then I started falling into the rabbit hole. Obviously, it was more difficult back then. You couldn't just hop on Spotify, so I had to start buying CD singles. But that's when I like went back in time and picked them back up with Southern Playalistic. But I think what really made Outkast pop was like the Source Awards, with saying that the South had something to say, was when it was like, yes, because New York and LA had dominated hip hop at that point, and nobody took Southern rappers seriously. It was party music. It was Raheem the Dream. It was, like Uncle Luke-ish. Like it was that kind of like, Splack Pack.
Splack.
I was hoping I could get the Splack Pack reference in. And I think for me, it was like middle school, but I really think the Source Awards is when people were like, these young fellers do have something to say. Interesting.
And at the same time, what was, I guess the wave like with TLC happening around then, Jermaine Dupri starting out, what was the energy like then?
Yeah, so fire. I love JD. I actually saw JD a couple years ago after a Super Bowl. I was like, damn, man, why'd you dress like CeeLo? He did a little bit look like CeeLo.
He looked exactly like CeeLo.
Yeah.
Right?
Everyone thought it was CeeLo.
Everybody did. They were like, they brought CeeLo out. Let's go. Yeah. But like Goody Mob was very much my shit at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it was great because we had TLC who were like our R&B queens, but then we had all of, Jermaine Dupri was really starting to put us on the map. Like Luda, I think people sort of gloss over Luda's contributions to hip hop. Sure. I get it. He's like fun rap, but like Luda was huge for us. He was more mainstream than even Outkast was at the time.
Yeah. And
then just sort of like his wordplay and his fun energy. I mean, they still play Move Bitch Get Out the Way at Falcons games every time they get a first down. And so it was like such a amazing time to be in Atlanta. I remember like having, my cousins, my family's from Denver, and they would be like, can you like record on the radio? God, if you have young listeners or viewers, I'm sure they're like, what? You used to have to press record and play at the same time
absolutely.
on your tapes. And I would make them mixtapes and I would send them to them because they were getting music 8, 9, 10 months later that we were debuting in Atlanta. It was quite a time. Freaknik was popping at the time. Like I was too young for that.
All right, Elle, listen, Elle, you referenced Luke, and now you reference the Freaknik. Is there anything you want to tell us?
In Jacksonville.
JD is doing a Freaknik documentary. Are we going to see Elle somewhere in the background walking past a camera? Like, just let us know now so we don't be as surprised when we see it.
No, I am so fortunate that Freaknik was really pretty much waning out by the time I hit like college, but it was definitely very prevalent in middle and high school for me. My first introduction to Freaknik, my dad had to take, because anybody that was from there knew, like, you stay away from downtown Atlanta during Freaknik, unless of course you're participating. But we had to go, I had theater camp downtown. And so my dad had to take me.
Scheduling problem.
And I just remember my dad being like, cover your eyes, close your eyes, because it was going down. And then in high school, this guy comes up to me in class. We were in Spanish class. His name was Shannon. I'll never forget this. He comes up to me. He's like, let me show you something. And this is when we just had like digital cameras. We didn't have like cell phones like that. And we had digital cameras. And he was like, take a look. And he shows me a video he had taken on his digital camera of some folks getting it popping while just driving down Peachtree in the back of a truck with everyone like watching. And I was like, is this what's happening 30 miles from here downtown? Like
Absolutely.
It was.
Yeah, you were practicing Othello while you were doing that.
Right, I'm over here doing Shakespeare and they're shaking that ass.
Yeah, shaking ass,
I love to remind these young people, many of which are from Atlanta or from the surrounding areas. I'm like, some of you came about because of Freaknik. So you need to show
for
some
sure.
respect.
Absolutely.
And they're carrying on the tradition just without the festival.
Exactly.
Correct.
Elle, so you being so close to women's college basketball and actually seeing these women up close and personal, who is the one player that people don't talk about a lot that you feel like will be a star at the next level?
Ooh, someone people don't talk about a lot. I mean, the thing about women's college basketball is, even though the parity has gone a lot better, there's still really only like 6 or 7 teams that I think are really like contenders every year. And of those 6 or 7 teams, there's probably like 3 or 4 that I think are next level or generational or transformational. So most people sort of know them. But I think someone that is really going to take, not just because of her play, but because of everything that she represents, that's really going to take the next level by storm, is Faj Johnson at LSU. Because we know that these young women have to navigate a lot, and they're balancing being student athletes and now being brands because of NIL. But she's like a whole ass rapper and performer. Like, she'll go do a performance somewhere and then she'll find where their closest gym is and she'll work out for LSU. She's a champion. I think Flage is like, she's going to be, we see, some dudes in the NBA and their careers fizzle out and they end up having hits that I don't know why. I'm so sorry. I don't get it, Jello. I don't like.
Elle, I love you. I love you already, Elle. Elle, I love you.
I'm sorry.
You guys are twins
Tweaking's
now.
one of those songs that like, it starts out, you're like, oh, this is fun. And then after about 30 seconds, it's like.
Because that's all you need. That's all you need for TikTok. All you need for TikTok is 20 seconds.
All you need for streaming is 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's all you need. So they're making these songs that just have this moment within the song, and people like, that's a hit. I'm like, no, it's not.
It's certified gold as of yesterday.
It's a terrible record. Terrible record.
Good. It's not a good record. It's one of those that like if you're a DJ, it's fun. You play it for the crowd for 30 seconds and then you move on. Nobody wants to listen to that shit from beginning to end.
Nobody.
I'll agree with you there. I'm definitely not listening to that entire record. I do like it in the middle of a set for 30 seconds at most. But his follow-up with Glorilla was one of the worst songs I've ever heard.
Because
wasted Glorilla.
Because he's not a real artist. He's not a rapper. He's not a real artist. That's why.
Yes, and like the
Transfer
thing is
portal.
that like Flage she's an actual artist. Like, I think that's why Flage is dope, is because like, a lot of these dudes rap and they're bored. Damian Lillard will hop on a mic and like, I think Dame's actually not bad.
Dame is
nice. He can rap.
Dame and Joe shouldn't be in the same sentence.
Yeah, Dame can rap. He can rap. Yeah.
But it's a hobby. Like Flage really wants basketball and music to like sort of both be her careers. And she has the talent to do that. So I think at the next level, like just think she's going to be an absolute superstar.
No, she's a star already. I can't open X without seeing a Flau'jae ad. I'm like, yo, is she in school? Like they just have her working, doing ads all day on X.
Yeah. You said you did theater as a kid, Atlanta radio. Did you ever try to rap? There's no way you didn't.
So, absolutely not. My rap style, I describe it as like a mix of like Fergie and Kesha. It's very white girl rap. Like it needs to be slow. You know, I woke up in the morning feeling like I won't say his name. It has to be like very slow and methodical, which is why when everybody was shitting on Snap music, I was like, I love that shit. I can follow along.
It's an easy pocket.
It's so easy. Yeah, it's like ABC 1, 2, 3 raps. I never tried to rap, but I did, Rory, have a very brief encounter as a singer. I got a record deal when I was 19, and the deal put TLC's deal to shame, just to tell you how bad that deal was. Like
they were worse than Pebbles.
Wanted to own my name in perpetuity for like my life. Like it was.
They had to negotiate with ESPN just now.
100%. They would still be making money off of me doing something that's not music related. And I released, like I had like some songs. I put together like an EP, and I went and I performed for the first time. I was going to do a live performance for the first time with original music at this club in Atlanta at the time called the Chili Pepper. And I had backup dancers and like all of this stuff. And it was so bad that my own parents couldn't even lie to me. Like when I came off stage, I was like, how did I do? And they were just like, you're so brave.
You're so brave. Such a brave soul.
What went wrong?
What? It just was bad. Like, you know what I realized? I realized that having a decent voice, and that because I loved music so much, I thought, well, because I love music and people keep telling me I have a decent voice, like I should do something in this space. And I think what I realized was that you can have like a passion and you can like enjoy something, and that does not mean that you have what it takes to make it a profession. Like just because you like making beats and that's a great creative outlet for you does not mean that like you're the next DJ Mustard. Like it just doesn't. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like there's a whole lot more that goes into being a music artist than generally liking writing songs, and like there's just a lot more that goes into it. And I realized that at the time, but it was the dancing, it was the singing on key to a backup track.
On key is important. Key is important. Yeah, because you can sing, but are you on key?
Let's throw some tune on it.
Exactly. And I discovered that like I am the queen of shower records. Like in the shower
good acoustics.
With nothing, like with the acoustics.
Echo. Yeah.
Right. Like I'm fucking Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
But you put me with like ears in and it doesn't go particularly well. So I just keep it to karaoke at this point.
So Paige Beckers, she is the real deal. I like her game. Where do you have her as far as what she will be able to do for the WNBA? We saw what Caitlyn and Angel's rivalry and their back and forth kind of helped to elevate the audience of the WNBA. Do you think Paige comes in and adds to that?
Yeah, she's definitely a ratings driver. I mean, listen, let's just be real. There's no one like Caitlin Clark. Like there just isn't. There's no rivalry, I think, that's fresh on people's minds that's bigger than Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark. It's why their matchups always do so well. But Paige Beckers, like the thing about Paige is that someone was asking me this the other day. They were like, this idea that the space is being dominated by like a white woman. And it worked really well for Caitlyn because she's so freaking good, and also helped that like mainstream America, could relate to her and see, their daughters in her. Why didn't we have that same, astronomical effect with Paige? And the thing is that like Paige Beckers is the best way to describe her is a very unsexy word, and that is efficient. Like there is not a smarter basketball player in terms of Paige almost never takes the wrong shot. She is so incredibly efficient. Like she was like on the precipice of like a season where she was shooting at least 50% from the field, at least 40% from three, and was shooting 90% from the free throw line. She's a great two-way player. She's a hell of a defender. She's a facilitator. She can bring the ball up. She can create, but she's very deferential. Like Paige is such a, she doesn't love, like she is a superstar. She's the queen of Riz. Like, she's just as charismatic in person as you see on like social media. But she's also very much about, like, if you ever hear her talk, all she does is talk about her teammates. It's always about other people, other people, other people. She doesn't love to sort of own and embrace this superstar thing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's maybe why we didn't see the same. I also think that there was a lot of stop and start to her career because of the injuries. Like, Paige was the original Caitlyn in terms of height. She was the Gatorade National Player of the Year in high school. COVID ruined her chance of winning a state championship. She's the first and still only freshman ever to win National Player of the Year. And there was just this groundswell of like, yo, this is the one. And then she got hurt, right?
Yeah.
And then she got hurt again. And then all of her teammates got hurt. And I think because of sort of the stop and start is why we didn't see those same sort of like bananas numbers that we saw with Caitlin Clark. But she is absolutely the real deal. Like, she is so incredible also at navigating the space, because the W space is, yes, about the basketball, but also about the conversation and narratives around it. And I think that Paige navigates that in such a smart way, and it's incredibly authentic. Like, she understands and respects that this was a league that was born and bred on the backs of Black women, queer women, and that they always have had the same attention and commercial appeal. And she uses every opportunity she can to thank them, to show them gratitude, to pay homage to them. So she's gonna be amazing. Do I expect that we're gonna see 7 million viewers every time she steps on the court? Maybe not. But in terms of just sheer talent, who she is as a person, and then her social media, outreach, she's a superstar.
How do you feel the first takes and just morning debate shows have affected the legacy of SportsCenter?
Well, I mean, I think in general, there's been a lot of debate about, like, do we embrace debate? Are we tired of debate? SportsCenter is one of those, like, tried and true. When I first started working at ESPN, they were like, SportsCenter is such a recognized brand that some people don't even associate it with ESPN. Like, they think it's its own thing.
Right.
And SportsCenter has also seen some, like, different machinations, right? Where, like, it was very, to start, was very newsy. It was very, you give the highlights, you give the facts, like, and then, like, people like Stuart Scott came in and they brought in cultural references and they made it more fun and interesting. And they used, one-liners to sort of tell the story of sports. And now I think that the SportsCenter that I work at is cool because it allows for any type of personality to be who they want to be. Like, 15 years ago, probably a SportsCenter was never going to let someone like me write a monologue where I just roast people like I do on Taking the L, right?
Right.
Or allow the fandom. I bark because I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan whenever I can. Like, I don't think it was embraced or appreciated in the same way. And I'd like to believe that the debate shows have helped in that way. I think that it allows, like, I get to do First Take. There would have been a time where it would have been nonsensical to put a SportsCenter anchor on a debate show, because the whole point is it's not about you. It's not about your opinion. It doesn't matter what you think. And so I think that a place like ESPN and the First Takes of the world and the Get Ups of the world has just allowed people to sort of see us as a little bit more than just what the specific role is. And so I like to believe that I'm a SportsCenter anchor and then some. And so, ultimately, like, we're sort of damned if we do and damned if we don't sometimes at ESPN. You just go full highlights and people go, well, I can get that on my phone. That's stupid. Why would I just come to you for highlights? That's stupid. You talk too much and then they go, we want our highlights. It's like, you really can't win. And so ultimately, it works. Like, people that bitch and complain about First Take, like, tell that to the ratings, tell that to the interest, to the intrigue. Like, it's a formula that's working. And so they're going to keep doing it. And like that, it just is what it is. But ultimately, like, if you don't like a debate show, we also offer you other options as well.
What's something you want to add to SportsCenter that's not currently there?
Something I want to add to SportsCenter.
More baseball highlights.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, golf. Yeah, more golf, I think, in general.
Yeah.
I would say that, like, speaking for my SportsCenter, because it's a 1 hour show, and then when you account for commercials, it's a 40-minute show. What I would love for SportsCenter to be able to have more of, but it's kind of impossible based on the formula, is just more time to let shit breathe. Like, more time to have a guest on and not dedicate 3 minutes to them. Like if the conversation is going really well, being able to have more opportunity to expound or to dig in a little deeper on things. But that's just not really what we're working with. Like we're trying to give you all of the news or table set, everything that's coming up amongst the 4 major sports, including women's basketball, including men's basketball. Like it's just it's a lot. I wish that there was a little bit more space to just, when called for, freestyle a bit.
How do you feel about some of the biggest stars in the WNBA being able to make more money in Unrivaled than the actual league?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's fortunately short term. You know, the new CBA is coming up. This is the last year under this current CBA. They will get an exponential raise. Of course, it's unfortunate. You know, it's when you see that like Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Angel Reese making $72,000 a year in their, first year. Like I'm pretty sure that's what like the team manager is making on an NBA team, right? Like, so that's wild. I appreciate that Unrivaled was started by WNBA players with Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart because they understand what their worth is and their value, but they also understand that the money is in being an initial investor. And that was what I thought was the cool thing with Unrivaled. It wasn't just another league where they were promising to pay more people. It was a league where you could come in as an initial investor. So you're profiting off of a direct profit off of the ratings, the viewership, jersey sales, ticket sales. Like you're getting a piece of all of that. And technically you are in the CBA as well, but it's just such a small piece. So it gave these women an opportunity to have a business venture on top of being able to stay in this country, not have to play internationally. It was a breeding ground for free agents. Like they got to play with people. They got to talk to people in Miami. From what I understand, like that's how some of these deals came about, is someone like hollering at someone and being like, yo, you need to join us in Connecticut. You need to join us in New York. And so from all the women that I've talked to, they absolutely love it. And the ratings were great, despite the fact they didn't have some of the bigger names like an Asia Wilson or a Caitlin Clark. Paige signed on to do 3 years of it. So that's amazing. But I mean, it's great to have competition. Like for so long in the women's space, it's basically been you get what you get and you don't get upset. And that's because there is no competition, right? Like there's one media company that does your games. There's one league that does your games. And so like you just have to get what you get because you really don't have any other options unless you want to go to Russia. And who wants to go to Russia? So anytime there's competition, it just drives the price up. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
What's something you would change if you were the commissioner?
Ooh, I mean, well, that's a tough one because the things that I think should change in the W are counterintuitive to what a commissioner would want, right? Paying them. Yeah. But I think, what I would do is I would level the playing field more in terms of the facilities and because right now you still have the haves and have-nots. Like when you're a free agent and you're deciding, and like, listen, it's with all sports. Some facilities are nicer than others and we get it. But there in general is a baseline, right? Like there is a baseline of like, you can't have these women in a rat infested gym, right? Like and I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but across men's sports, there's a baseline. You have to have certain nutrition. You have to have certain, number of staff and that's not there right now. So it's kind of like, okay, if you go to the Aces, then you're in great shape, right? Because Mark Davis really believes in the product. So he spends a ton of money. You're at Golden State, they're brand new, but like, the Lakers, like they care. So they're going to spend a bunch of money. But let's say you want to go play for a team because you think their roster is incredible, but you also know that your facilities are trash. Like, so I would start with making a baseline that is better in general for them in terms of facilities. They're asking for insurance after they retire, which is like something that you should be able to do. The last CBA was really historic in terms of like, women have babies. It's a thing. I hope I'm not sharing something new with you, Rory and Mal, but women have babies. Right. So like, what is it, right? Like protections during pregnancy, how long it takes for them to get back onto the court, like all of those things I would take into consideration, but I would definitely start with the facilities and how they travel. And the charters were new last year. And again, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, it's better than commercial for sure. However, I've also heard that some of these planes are basically like Southwest planes. Like they're not necessarily like the lap of luxury planes that you would expect on like a chartered, I've been on charters with the Red Sox. And, you know, they're Lux. Like they're nice planes. Some of these planes don't even recline, you know, and these are tall women who are traveling across country. So just that kind of stuff.
We had Lexi Brown on the show, and she just got traded from LA to Seattle. And the first thing she said was, well, at least I'll have a practice gym now. She had no practice gym in Los Angeles.
Which is crazy.
In fucking Los Angeles.
Exactly.
She wasn't playing in Kansas.
Right. That's crazy.
Right. So when you're thinking about where you want to go, like, do you want to go to the place that doesn't have a practice gym or the place that has a practice gym and like a cryogenic chamber? Like, you know.
Right.
A shower and ice bath, at least.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Now, we also had one of your other co-hosts, Andrea, on. And the other day we were watching Rich Paul, and he said he didn't feel like Miami was the big three because he didn't feel like Chris Bosh was part of the big three. Now, you, Andrea, and I don't want to butcher her name. Is it Shanae?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Shanae. Y'all have been dubbed the big three.
Yeah.
How important do you think it is what y'all are doing? Because I do think that y'all are building a type of culture and analyst and over at ESPN. How important and how much fun do y'all have doing what y'all are doing? Because I'm starting to see clips of y'all everywhere, having fun in the studio, and the way that y'all talk about the game and break it down and give it to somebody who is not really into women's sports like myself, but have followed it. Y'all make it more, you know, palatable for somebody like me. How important is that for y'all and what y'all are building?
We appreciate that. I mean, I think that's the point, Mal, is that like, you know, you got two OGs, like Drea played at Tennessee. Shanae is a Stanford Hall of Famer and was a former #1 overall pick. Like, so they've been in it. But then you have someone like me who came into the space 4 seasons ago. I mean, I've obviously always been a fan of women's sports in general. I was a softball player my whole life, but I wasn't in this space. And the beautiful part about growing and expanding a fan base is that there needs to be room for the novices who are learning. And I think what Shanae and Andrea do incredibly well is that while they could talk over your head about basketball, they make it digestible. They show you all the joy that they have in talking about it and the joy that they had in playing it. They know these players so incredibly well. They either played with them or they mentor them. And I just think that, like, if you love the WNBA, if you love women's college basketball and you've been around since its inception, then they're for you. And we hope that we're for you. But if you're brand new and you're just trying to learn and you just want to know, like, who should I be watching? Okay, apart from like Paige Beckers, who else on the team is really important? If you want to see why UConn went on that ridiculous run and won the national championship. Like, if you just want, and then on top of that, if you just want to see 3 women who really enjoy each other's company and roast each other and look at each other like sisters. And, you know, I come up with my one-liners because I'm certainly not going to match them in terms of basketball acumen. Yeah. Like, I just think that we try to bring as much fun as we can because this space is really fun. And the thing that's most important to me is that our relationship translates on air because we are always like that. If the camera stops rolling, we don't stop acting that way. It's just that, you know, we have an opportunity to share our relationship with everybody. And it's been great. It's been one of the most rewarding experiences of my career because it's 2 women that I respect so much and we all want each other to win. And that can be difficult. Like, I've worked with people before and your job is to have chemistry and sometimes you have to fake it. And, you know, my greatest like gift is when I've worked with someone who I can't stand and people will come up to me and be like, are you guys best friends? Because you just seem like you love each other. I'm like, yeah. She smiles through her teeth. And in this case, I don't have to fake the chemistry, the joy, the love, the respect. Like, it's all been great.
It was a funny story. I was driving here in Manhattan one day, and I'm turning on like 29th Street, I think. And I was texting and turning at the same time, but I was trying to tell my friend that I was pulling up in front of the building to come downstairs. And I look up, I had to slam on the brakes, I almost hit somebody, and she yells, "You fucking idiot." And it was Swing Cash. And I wanted to say, I'm a big fan, but I didn't think that was the right time to say that.
Yo, you got Swin to cuss at you because she's so chill and like, no, she's but
I literally almost killed her. Yeah, I almost hit her. Like, I'm turning slow, but like she had the right way to walk. And I looked up and it was Swin Cash and she was just yelling like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I wanted to say, "I'm sorry, Swin, I'm a huge fan," but that wasn't the right time to do that.
Yeah, that probably was not the right
that wasn't the right time to do that.
Considering you almost murdered her. Yeah, but yeah, I'm glad you didn't.
We did in Atlanta, album versus with Pac-Man Jones, another Atlanta resident. And I figured we could bring that segment back with you since you are a music person and from Atlanta. You have to pick an album between each of these artists. You can't say both. We'll start with Outkast since you have the shirt on. AT-Aliens or Aquemini?
Aquemini.
Oh, you answered that quick.
Chunky Fire. Chunky Fire is my favorite Outkast song of all time.
Okay.
I'm with you. I'd probably still lean on AT-Aliens, but it is tough. You said that with the quickness. God damn.
Yeah. I mean, Aquemini to me, it's like a no skips album. Literally, I'll listen to it from beginning to end.
No, I hear you. Ludacris back for the first time versus Chicken and Beer.
Chicken and Beer. Only because there was a personal story there. I was working at the time at Gladys and Ron's Chicken and Waffles. Do you remember that franchise?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm working there as a hostess, and Luda had his like album listening party at Gladys and Ron's. It was the first time I ever met him. I'm cool with Luda. Like, we're homies now. Like, he's the best. I love Shaka. But at the time I just was so starstruck. And I just remember hearing it for the first time while he was playing it and watching him like rap along while he was having chicken and waffles. So I'm going chicken and waffles just for the nostalgia.
Yeah. And he was a radio host too. So I see the connection. Back for the first time is underrated, but I'm going Chicken and Beer as well.
Yeah.
Jeezy TM 101 versus The Recession.
Ooh, TM 101.
Yeah, that's kind of
tough. That's not. That's you can't
go against it. The Recession is there though.
It was a good album, but TM.
It was a good album.
Yeah, TM 101 is the album though.
This is one of the toughest to me. T.I. Trap Music versus King.
Oh shit. Okay, again, at the time I was doing Atlanta radio, so we were doing some events with T.I. at the time and like did his album release party for King. So I'm going to go with King just because of the nostalgia. Like I have a horrible memory and I listen to music specifically when I'm in moments to help me remember those moments. And I just like, I can distinctly remember like so much of my life at that time wrapped up with King. So I'm going to go King.
Do you have any crazy stories from when you were working at the radio station?
Oh God.
Especially around that time in Atlanta. It was a little wild.
So many. Well, okay, so I have a funny Kanye story, which is
oh my God. Okay. Don't we all?
I know.
The world does. If you're on Twitter, you have one.
Fair. Although what he's doing now isn't exactly funny, more so disgusting and deplorable, but
you're right.
Right.
So we were the last radio station at the time to add Gold Digger. Okay. The very last one. And I don't know why our PD just decided we weren't going to add the song. So we finally add Gold Digger. Of course, Gold Digger is a huge smash hit. Kanye comes on our radio show and he has clearly been told or knows that we were the last major hip hop radio station.
He probably researched himself.
Yeah.
Of course he did. So there's just this contentious like attitude with everything that we're doing, you know? And the man was truly like, at the time I was like, man, this man is truly eccentric, right? Like now I would describe him in some other words, but at the time eccentric kept coming to mind. You know, he was very ADD, and I can relate. I'm ADD too, but like you could literally be like, Kanye, do you want like a Coke or anything? And he'd be like, no, I don't want a Coke, but Coke is refreshing. It's refreshing like a Fanta, although Fanta commercials are not that good because it was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? So
he was the first ChatGPT.
100%. Like he was just and how they hallucinate, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And so the interview's over. It's like all over the place. He's like jumping behind. He's just being Kanye. And so finally we get to a point where we're like, it's time to do the radio drops, right? And like for people that are listening that don't know, I know y'all know the radio drop is, you know, yo, you listening to Rory and Mal on V103, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So it's time for him to do the drops. And this is where he decides he's going to bring up that we were the last. So every drop is like, yo, what's up? You're listening to V103. Or he's like, yo, what's up? This Kanye West. You're listening to V103. Yeah, I mean, I guess you should listen to them, even though they didn't want to play my stuff, even though they didn't want to play Gold Digger, even though they didn't see it. That's cool, though. It's fine. It's whatever. You're listening. We're like, all right, can you try it again, Kanye?
No, that was it.
All right.
If I was a PM, I would be like, nah, that's perfect.
Yeah. Yo, what's up? This is Kanye West. I mean, you know, you're listening to bitch ass V103. You were like, oh my God, bro.
Yeah,
like,
we're going to go with that one. That's the one we go with. You listening to bitch ass V103.
He was, but to be honest, if you have time for one more story, rest in peace to the greatest DMX.
Absolutely.
My favorite radio drop story of all time was X. Because X comes up to our radio station, which, by the way, is located right on Peachtree Street in Colony Square, which, if you've been to Atlanta, is a main thoroughfare. He shows up with every Rough Rider in the Southeast.
Yeah.
They are blocking traffic. Like there's people everywhere. It's madness and chaos everywhere. So he comes up to the radio station, and he's great. And we're doing our interview or whatever, and it comes time for him to do the drops. So my little intern comes in and hands him the sheet, right, with everything that he needs to say and his name on it, even though he could have figured out the name part, right? So he goes to start. Yo, what's up? And he stops. And he's like, yo, what the fuck is this? And we were like, what? And he's like, what the fuck is this? And he turns the paper and he's like, you put fucking little X. I look like a little X to you? It's a big X. That ain't no fucking, I'm not a fucking little X. You need to fix it. And we were like, can you just like say it though? Because like no one's gonna see the paper. This is just a reference for you. And he's like, I want you to change it. And he's like, he's pissed because somebody did a typo and they did capital D, capital M, lowercase x, and he would not let it slide. So we had
never
to wait.
lowercase the X. You never lowercase the X.
Ever, bro. So we had to wait, reprint it, and then he was like, this is better. And then he did it. It's great.
Wait, that's even crazier because when you were saying it, I thought maybe someone confused him with the director little X or something. No. It was just a lowercase X.
Yeah, lowercase X. You never go
it was just a typo. They were just typing it really quickly, and because he asked for it to be like written out, and then they accidentally made a typo, and the intern was humiliated and embarrassed.
That's hilarious.
All right, before we get to our don't know ball questions, just quickly have a few more. Future 56 Nights versus Hendrix.
Hendrix.
Same. Young Thug, Jeffrey, or Barter 6?
Jeffrey.
Usher, Confessions, or 8701?
Oh, Confessions.
I'm leaning at 8701.
I like that you kind of hesitated with that one. You thought about 8701 a little bit.
I did. I mean, I love 8701, but again, Confessions, radio, nostalgia.
Yeah. 8701 is still a no-skip classic to me, though. But
yes.
Do we want to start our don't know trivia questions?
All right, yeah. So, Elle, we have some questions to see how much ball we don't know, but we also have some questions for you to see how much music, even though, I mean, Elle, she's sharp all the way around. I don't know if we're going to be able to.
Yeah, she beats us in both categories.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty bad for us. But we have some questions for you. So we're going to ask you a question, you'll answer, and then you'll ask us a question about ball to see exactly how much Rory and Maul do not know about ball. So the first question, Elle, before the stage name he has now, Anderson .Paak released 2 albums under the alias of A, Breeze Lovejoy, B, OBE, C, Brandon Anderson, or D, Oasis?
Oh, wow. I don't know this one.
I wouldn't have got this one either. Anderson?
No.
I only know him as Anderson. What was it?
Answer is A, Breezy Lovejoy.
Wow, that actually feels, appropriate.
That sounds like the name of the next album.
What's
your favorite Anderson .Paak album?
Venice.
Okay, I'm with you there.
Great album.
What'd you think about the Silk Sonic project?
I loved it. I actually saw them live in Vegas, and I dropped several bags to go see it. I was a little pissed at first. Then I was pissed when they told me to put my phone away. And by the end of it, I was like, I've just never seen anybody sing and perform their heart out like that for 2.5 straight hours. Like I was into it.
We can cut this if your agent gets upset. Who do you think did more cocaine in the studio? Bruno Mars or Anderson .Paak during the making of that project?
Bruno. For sure. I
feel like you are selling Anderson .Paak short on his cocaine ability.
No, I think she knows Bruno's cocaine ability.
Does he have high? I think it's just that I just know more about Bruno's.
Yeah, she knows. You could look at Bruno and just tell, like, he probably just,
That project was not for the love of soul music. It was for the love of coke. That's how they met. They had the same coke dealer.
Yeah, but that's, music and coke go hand in hand.
That's their A&R.
Yeah, you know how that is.
All right, so you can ask us
like
a sports
PB&J. All right, here's your question. In 2024, Caitlin Clark became the all-time leading scorer in NCAA women's basketball history. Whose record did she break? Was it A, Dawn Staley, B, Kelsey Plum, C, Candace Parker, or D, Maya Moore? This is a sneaky one.
Shit. I'm going to go.
Parker seems too obvious.
I'm going to go D, Maya Moore.
Okay.
I'm going to steal Maul's answer. I'm going to go D as well. We'll be wrong together.
Yeah, the answer is actually Kelsey Plum.
Really?
Would have never guessed that.
Yeah. She was
Wow.
at Washington and she got a whole lot of points. Like she was up there racking up points. Yep.
Wow. Go Kelsey. I didn't know that.
That's wild.
Yeah.
All right, our second question. What Gucci Man feature performed the best on the Billboard Hot 100? Was it A, Party, B, Steady Mobbin', C, Black Beatles, or D, Wake Up in the Sky?
Oh, I love that song, by the way. Whenever people ask me what my walk-up song would be if I was a baseball player, I say that, even though it's about waking up stoned. I suppose if you know me is pretty appropriate. Cool. I don't know. I feel like it's probably maybe... Because Gucci's my guy, by the way. I love Gucci, but his music is not that mainstream. Mm-hmm. So I'll say because it was with Bruno Mars, maybe Wake Up in the Sky.
No, it was C, Black Beatles.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one actually shocked me as well. Did you watch the Jeezy and Gucci Man versus during COVID?
Of course I did. Of course I did. And again, like I love Jeezy. Like I dropped a Jeezy reference at the Final Four. I love Jeezy. Mm-hmm. But I'm like a Gucci girl. Like I'm a Dog is like one of my favorite songs of all time. I'm a treater like a dog. Come on, man. And so I'm maybe the only person that thought he won. Everyone was like, Jeezy smoked him. I was like, hey, let's go, Gucci. Come on, man.
We're
definitely won.
Ignorant New Yorkers. I was watching that like, why is this a matchup? Like, why would anyone even think that Gucci won this?
I was more so concerned at the security concerns in the building. Like, why would they have these two gentlemen so close on the stage to each other? Like, I just didn't think that was a safe thing to do. But
the matchup goes much deeper than music.
Yeah, there was much deeper than music.
There's some real animosity there, but I'm always going to ride with the East Atlanta.
Real tension.
Do you think, in fact, Gucci is a clone?
Is that a rumor that he's a clone?
Yeah, when he got out of jail, he looked like a completely different human being. Like the before and afters looked like some telemarketer.
Well, that's what happens when you're locked up and you're on a strict diet of,
Thank you. You got nothing to do. All you do is lift weights all day.
Like that in federal prison.
No, but when you stop eating all the bullshit, your skin kind of,
jail is where you start eating healthy.
It's a little healthier, in jail.
Yeah, you're not drinking, you're not smoking, you're not late night snacking. I mean, these artists are in the studio late. They're eating meals at 3 a.m. Like all he did was work out. Listen, I knew Gucci before and after. I remember when you would talk to Gucci and he would rub that big fat Santa belly. Mm-hmm. I believe that he's not a clone at all. Now the teeth, sometimes I'm like, bro, we need to scale that down a little bit. Like that is not a natural shade of teeth.
He definitely got the XLs for sure. Maybe he should have got the mediums. Sure. It's on you, right?
All right. My question. Which WNBA superstar holds the record with two other teammates for the most NCAA championships won by a player? Is it A, Sabrina Ionescu, B, Cheryl Miller, C, Asia Wilson, or D, Breanna Stewart?
What was B again?
B was Cheryl Miller. I'm going to give you a hint. This person literally won 4 national championships in a row. 4.
It has to be B, Stu. No?
Is that your answer?
I'm going Breanna Stewart.
I'm going Breanna too.
Yeah, B.
Got it.
I see in your face that Maul was right when he said it. So
yeah,
that was not going to be my answer.
Be
but
B, Stu. Fauna, yeah, that's UConn. That sounds like UConn. Even though Cheryl, what Cheryl was doing was absolutely just, that was insane. I saw a clip of her talking about when she came home and Reggie had a good game. I think he had like 36 or 38. And so he was kind of hyped coming home. And that was the day that Cheryl had 100 and something. And he came in and she was
definitely the better Miller.
Yeah, she came in and he was hype and Cheryl was already home sitting there. And he's like, yo, so what's up? What did you do today? He was like, at that point, I think she had a 60-point game already, had a 70. She was throwing out some numbers that I was like, she's casually saying, yeah, I had 60 before, I had 70 before. And so Reggie was sitting there like, so what'd you do today? She was like, 100. And he was like, what? And he just threw a fit, got mad, got upset, told his mom, I can't beat her. I'm not better than her. I thought that was crazy to see. Like, first of all, the Millers are legendary, but you forget about exactly how dominant Cheryl Miller was when she played basketball. And obviously Reggie is a legend too, but by far Cheryl Miller is the better of the siblings.
Knicks fans will not.
She got 2 titles, but not 4.
Yeah.
Crazy. How many number 1 singles does Usher have? Is it A7, B9, C11, or D13?
Number one singles. I'll go 9.
You are correct.
Correct.
Answer is B, 9. All right.
Nice.
1 for 3.
Ursher, baby. All right.
All right.
And
So we
here's
got
yours.
one more.
Yep, you got one more. This is hard. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna get this right.
Which-
Fuck it. Come on. Let's go.
Which WNBA franchise has the most title appearances? Is it A, the New York Liberty, B, the Los Angeles Sparks, C, the Minnesota Lynx, or D, the Phoenix Mercury?
I'm going B, Sparks.
Nah, it's not the Sparks. I'm going.
If it's Phoenix, I quit.
I feel like Diana Taurasi been there a lot. I'm going Phoenix.
Okay, let me get you're both wrong. Let me give you a hint. It's a team from the finals a season ago. So that's two of that's A and C on here. It's either the Liberty or the Lynx.
Well, the Liberty won last year, right?
So it's the Lynx then. Yeah, it's the Lynx. Maya Moore. Was that Maya? That was getting all the time? Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
We were 1 for 3 as well.
Look, Elle, we said we don't know ball. Like we told you that before you called in. Like we said we don't know ball. So
you did, but I said I knew music and I got the same score as you. So there you go.
That's all right. We broke even. We broke even, Stevens. It's all good. Elle, we want to thank you for joining us. Good luck with everything that you're doing. We appreciate everything you're doing. You, Andrea, and Shanae, y'all are absolutely killing it. It's a pleasure watching you ladies. Talk about sports and have fun at the same time. And we appreciate you kicking with us today.
And thank your husband for the support as well.
Time.
Yeah, and tell your husband we said peace. Thanks for the support. And we'll talk to you
just
soon.
did. He's going to listen.
We appreciate that. Elle, thank you. That's Elle Duncan for Rory and Maul Don't Know Ball.